There is a country on Earth where it almost never rains, where the sun can push past 45 degrees Celsius and stay there for months. A country where there are no rivers, no lakes, not a single natural source of fresh water that its people can rely on. And yet, 37 million people live there. Every single one of them needs to drink, cook, and bathe, every single day. So here's the question. How does a nation survive in a place nature never meant for permanent life? The answer costs billions of dollars. It runs for over 1,000 kilometers. And it does something that sounds almost impossible. It turns the sea into drinking water. This is the story of why Saudi Arabia had no choice but to build one of the most expensive water systems on the planet, and what it actually took to make the ocean drinkable. Saudi Arabia sits on some of the largest oil reserves in the world. Trillions of dollars of wealth, buried right under the sand. But oil cannot be poured into a glass. It cannot water a farm. And no amount of money can make it rain over the Arabian desert. So while the world sees Saudi Arabia as an energy superpower, the country has spent decades quietly fighting a very different war, a war for water. And to win it, they built something most people have never even heard of. Let's break down exactly why and exactly how. To understand why this project even exists, you have to understand just how brutal this land really is. 95% of Saudi Arabia is desert, not dry region. Desert. Sand, rock, and heat, stretching to the horizon in almost every direction. Average rainfall here is less than 100 millimeters a year. To put that in perspective, some cities on Earth get that much rain in a single week. And it's not just dry, it's hostile. Summer temperatures regularly climb past 45 degrees Celsius. Under that kind of heat, water doesn't just become scarce, it evaporates faster than it can ever be replaced. Here's the part that surprises most people. Saudi Arabia has no permanent rivers, no natural lakes, no dependable underground aquifers deep enough to support a modern population. Nature simply didn't build this land for millions of people to live on. And yet, over 37 million people call it home. Almost all of them clustered along two coastlines, the Red Sea in the west, the Persian Gulf in the east, because the interior of the country is nearly uninhabitable. So picture this for a second. Every morning, tens of millions of people wake up needing water to drink, to farm, to run entire industries in a country where the sky simply refuses to provide it. In most nations, water is a gift from nature. Rain fills the rivers. Rivers fill the taps. In Saudi Arabia, there is no gift. There is only engineering. If this country wanted to survive, let alone grow, it had exactly one option left. Go to the only source of water it actually had, an almost limitless one, sitting right at its doorstep. If you're enjoying this video, subscribe now and join us, the sea. Taking water from the sea is one thing. Getting it 1,000 kilometers inland, uphill, across mountains, through solid rock, is an entirely different challenge. So Saudi Arabia did something almost no other country has attempted at this scale. They built a steel pipeline system stretching over 1,000 kilometers, an artificial river, buried underground, carrying water from the coast straight into the heart of the desert. These aren't ordinary pipes. Each one is built from high-strength carbon steel, the same grade of steel used in the oil and gas industry, because it has to survive things ordinary pipes never could. Each pipe is roughly 1.8 meters wide. The steel walls are 25 millimeters thick, and every section stretches 12 to 18 meters long, engineered to endure extreme pressure, brutal heat swings, and decades underground without failing. Here's what most people never think about. Every single kilometer of this pipeline costs around $3 million to build. And that number doesn't even include the pumping stations or the desalination plants, just the pipe. Now stretch that cost across 1,000 kilometers. That's the price tag nature handed Saudi Arabia, just to move water from one side of the country to the other. But steel alone doesn't move water. Water needs force, pressure, a heartbeat. So along this entire route, engineers installed massive pumping stations, machines powerful enough to keep pushing water through the pipeline over rising terrain without ever letting the flow slow down. Without them, the water would lose momentum within a few dozen kilometers and simply stop. These pumping stations are what turn a buried steel tube into something alive, a river with a pulse built entirely by human hands. And all of this exists for one single purpose: to carry water from a source most people would never think to drink from. The open ocean. If engineering on this scale fascinates you as much as it fascinates us, make sure you're subscribed. Because what happens next is where this project gets genuinely wild. Now, let's go to where this all begins, the sea itself. Here's a fact that stops most people in their tracks. Seawater contains around 3.5% salt. That might sound small. It is not. That amount of salt is more than enough to make seawater completely undrinkable and dangerous for both humans and crops. So how do you strip salt out of an entire ocean's worth of water? It starts hundreds of meters offshore, where massive intake pipes, some over 60 centimeters wide, pull seawater directly from the sea. A single one of these pipes can draw in 15 million liters a day. That's over 10,000 liters every single minute. But the ocean doesn't just give up clean water. It gives up everything living in it, too. So before anything else happens, giant screens block out anything larger than 4.5 millimeters, jellyfish, crabs, debris, and engineers deliberately slow the suction speed down so fish and marine life aren't dragged in with the current. Then comes filtration.
The water is passed through sand filters so fine, they trap particles smaller than 1/10 the width of a human hair. Two chemicals are added next: sodium hypochlorite to kill bacteria, and iron chloride, a coagulant that forces microscopic dirt particles to clump together and sink to the bottom. By this point, the water looks clean. It isn't, not even close. One final barrier remains before the real transformation begins. Cartridge filters, with pores just 1 to 5 microns wide, catching whatever managed to survive this far. And now, the moment this entire system was built for: reverse osmosis. Here's the science in one sentence. Salt ions cling to water molecules with real electrical force. To break that bond, you need pressure. Massive pressure. Centrifugal pumps push the water up to 60 bars. That's 60 times normal atmospheric pressure, forcing it through membranes so fine, salt simply cannot pass through. The water goes through this twice. 2 full stages of reverse osmosis, squeezing out every last trace of salt until what's left is almost unnaturally pure. But purity has a price. Every liter of fresh water this process creates leaves behind a liter of something far worse. A thick, heavy brine, saltier than the ocean itself, that has to be returned to the sea very carefully, diluted and spread wide, so it doesn't destroy marine life near the coast. Turning the ocean into drinking water isn't just an engineering triumph. It's a constant negotiation with nature. Take what you need, without destroying what's left behind. Even after all of this, the water still isn't ready for a human being to drink. Reverse osmosis strips out more than salt. It strips out minerals too. So before this water reaches a single home, it goes through remineralization. Calcium and magnesium are added back in. Acidity is carefully balanced. Only then does it become water that's not just safe, but actually pleasant to drink. And now, here's the number that puts everything you just watched into perspective. This water costs Saudi Arabia around $5 per cubic meter to produce. In the United States, where rivers and lakes do this work for free, the same amount of water can cost just a few cents. Let that sink in for a second. Every glass of water in Saudi Arabia carries the weight of a 1,000-kilometer pipeline, a fleet of desalination plants, and one of the most energy-intensive industrial processes on the planet. So why does a country with this much oil wealth spend billions just to drink? Because for Saudi Arabia, this was never a luxury. It was never about convenience. It's about trading one resource they have in abundance, oil, for the one resource they cannot survive without, water. In a land where the sky refuses to provide, human engineering became the only rain this country would ever get. And that is why Saudi Arabia is spending billions just to drink the sea. If this kind of engineering blows your mind as much as it does ours, stick around. Because the next mega project we're breaking down might be even harder to believe.